going live, baby.
Well, no. I think Zach should just end with like "fuck April Fools." It's like we both.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, see, now you just made him happy.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
really
there
be
you
the
go.
one to
That's
make
good.
Zach happy.
That's good.
You were
Yeah.
the
I mean, hey,
person.
It's the
I'm
only
good making
time
people
Zach
happy.
gets to go last.
So, Tina, you want first or second?
I'll get first.
Okay. We got the order then.
Tina's excited. I like it. All right, we're
Should be the
live.
same thing.
We're live, y'all.
I'm ready.
All right. On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
Chris Evans to take on the Black Panther mantle?
Warner Brothers announces 8-hour Burton cut.
Fuck April Fools. It's a garbage holiday.
Garbadash?
Garbage.
Carbodash?
I don't know. Stud pit over
See,
here.
now I wish I had left Stud Pit in the subject line.
Damn it.
It's garbage balderdash.
It's literally one job.
Coming to you from Parker Brothers.
I had literally one job and I still fucked it.
Spectacular.
Oh boy.
It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 561 for April the 1st, 2021. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Tina?
Tina Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
And Zach?
Zach Martin, I'm a dumbass that can't speak English.
That's true.
That
Hey.
is factual.
We're putting the cast back together. We're 50% here.
That's right. Nathan was supposed to be with us, but he got called to fly the friendly skies at 3 o'clock this morning. He had to go take a trip.
If I got a call at 3 a.m. to go into work,
Yeah.
I'm sleeping through it.
I'd be like, new
You're
brain.
gonna have to call a lot longer for me to
Wait,
wake up.
is anybody else looking at the live stream? Like, why don't I
paused it?
Oh, did I pause it?
Yeah, you
'Cause
paused
I'm
it.
like, I don't see Nico.
Hit live. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Live.
wait, I gotta kill the
Hit
audio.
live.
I gotta kill the audio.
We'll do it. You still haven't hit it.
You shut up. All right. I think you can't see what I'm doing. Let's do this.
This is riveting.
It is.
You could literally just hit that one button that says
Oh,
live.
wow, it's making you so miserable. Let me just do it like this.
I'm gonna slap you.
All right. So, what has everybody else been up to? What have you guys been up to this week?
We watched a movie that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's about it.
I had weekend plans that got scrapped in every sense of the term.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to travel to a haunted attraction, and there were supposed to be storms, and they didn't have storms, but we did.
I can't believe that, dude. Okay, so we were going to travel to northern Alabama, and because they were saying it's going to be horrible, horrible rain,
They decided to close.
11:30 at night, and I'm looking at the weather. It still hasn't hit there,
But it hit here.
like 1 a.m.
Yeah. So mad.
I mean, to be
So
fair,
mad.
we would have had to drive back in that awful storm.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Would have been worth it.
yeah.
So that happened, and then we had to postpone podcast to tonight because Zach and I were supposed to film a band performing on Broadway here in Nashville, and they got COVID. So
Wee.
yeah,
At
so
least they had a legitimate.
not legitimate. Put on a mask.
Okay.
Put on a
but
mask.
No. I'm saying they had a legitimate reason to call out instead of, oh, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, and I think they would have tried to perform if they could have.
Oof.
But you have to pass a test to perform there.
Good.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, what are you gonna do? All right, let's get into this show. We got some cool stuff to talk about.
Yep.
But right here. So we want to say special thanks to Skinny Mixes actually for supporting our show. Skinny Mixes are coffee and dessert syrups, also cocktail syrups. There's 0 sugar, 0 carbs, 0 calories, all the stuff. You can head on over to skinnymixes.com and try some of their syrups, such as white chocolate, which Zach is having.
I already
today.
consumed it very quickly.
Yeah. Salted dark chocolate, salted
Which is
caramel.
fantastic.
Yep, that's good too. And a variety of different cocktail mixes they offer, including a margarita mix, which I have right here. I mean, I can see
Mostly gone.
I had zoomed in so I couldn't see my camera. It is mostly gone. You don't actually need too much of this, although I learned last week it really needs to be shaken over ice because I got a little bit tipsy during the show. So head on over to skinnymixes.com, use promo code CultureSmash, get yourself 15% off. And if you order $50, this is just my tip, it's not in their promo stuff, but if you order $50, then you get free shipping too. So,
their white chocolate, actually tasted like white chocolate.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't taste like all chemically like a Diet Coke and things like that taste.
No, I was thinking like Starbucks white chocolate mocha.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 90% mocha.
Yeah.
This actually tasted like white chocolate.
Yeah. Oh no. And weirdly, because I'm Mr. Anti-white chocolate normally, as a general flavoring, I use it the most. Like I put it in my coffee every day. So much that I ordered 4 bottles of it.
So white chocolate is good.
As long as you understand it's not real chocolate. It's just
careful, white chocolate. Wouldn't want you to melt.
Moving on to the box office.
Yeah, move on.
All right, so number 10 on the box office is Wonder Woman 1984. It's finally about to leave. It's down to number 10. 245,000 it made. It's made 45, almost 46 million so far. Number 9 is Minari, a movie I still haven't got to see. Made it 275,000. It's made 1.6 so far. Let's see. Number 8 is Boogie. That one made 359,000. It's made so far 3.8 million. Number 7 is The Marksman. That one made $360,000. Made 14.7 million so far. And number 6 is The Croods, A New Age. This movie's been in the top 10 forever also. It's made 550,000, almost 56 million so far. Number 5 is The Courier. That one made $1 million. It's made 3.4 so far. Number 4 is Chaos Walking, Zach's most anticipated movie.
Oh man, been waiting for years.
He's so excited. That one made 1.2 million. It's made 11.4 so far. Number 3 is Tom and Jerry. It made another 2.5 million. It's made 37 million so far. Number 2 is Raya and the Last Dragon. That one made 3.7 also. That's right there. It's made a 28.6. And that one's also a Disney Plus Premium one too, right?
Yeah.
Opening new this week was Nobody. It made $6.8 million. So I could talk about this one for just a minute.
I guess nobody went and saw it.
I saw it.
Somebody went and saw it.
I went to see it.
Literally right down the road.
Yeah, you like perked up. You're like, you didn't call me. I've been saying.
Had I known you were going to be literally a half mile away, I would have been like, hey KJ, you want to go?
I've asked you for weeks before. I'm like, we're going. You're like, no, man. I'm waiting for Mortal Kombat. No. You knowed me like a dozen times, and I had to go right down the street from your house. There's only 2 theaters open in Middle Tennessee right now. So where else am I gonna go?
You could have gone to Cool Springs.
Yeah, but that one's closer, technically.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You could have gone to the nicer one, but no, you get my...
Well, but I went to see Nobody. I mean, what did I really need? I went to see Nobody. Okay, so this is the movie that stars...
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? What's his name, Nico?
Oh, Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk. That's it. It was gone from me. It's directed by the same guy that did Hardcore Henry, which was fine. Right? We had fun with it. It was too long, but we had fun with it. And written by one of the co-writers of the first 3 John Wick movies. So, we knew going in that this was basically a riff on John Wick, right? I mean, it was obvious in the trailer.
Yeah, it was very clearly this is John Wick.
Basically, Bob Odenkirk plays a family man. His house gets robbed. He doesn't do anything. He kind of lets the criminals get away, and he gets ridiculed. They
steal his daughter's kitty bracelet.
They do. He gets ridiculed by his neighbor for it, and it gets the better of him, and it sort of releases the Kraken. Essentially, it comes out that he was more than a family man. He was a killer. A professional killer. Really, it's like John Wick with a kid, and his wife isn't dead. And, you know, going in, I was okay with this, but watching the movie, there's two sides. It was entertaining. It was, and I'll tell you about the trip back to the theater in a second, but it was entertaining. But the movie critic in me, the guy who actually pays attention to quality of movies, is like, this is more than just a riff on John Wick. It's John Wick, like all the way down to the villains being the Russians. I mean,
the writer is kind of good at one thing.
Can I spoil something? Is it bad if I spoil something for you?
No.
No.
Spoilers for nobody.
Okay. So, you remember in John Wick when he gets real pissed and he goes to the church and he burns all the Russians' money?
Yeah.
So Bob Odenkirk's character goes to the warehouse and burns all of their money.
Why is their money not in the bank?
Oh, you know what he paid people with? Gold bars.
No.
He paid people with gold bars. I swear to God, he paid people with. He bought a business with gold bars, and I'm like, this is John Wick. This isn't like a riff on John Wick. It wholesale. I've never seen anything like it. That wasn't
great value, John Wick.
Right now, the upsides is Bob Odenkirk is kind of like, he's more like Die Hard if done, by John McClane. He's a little more grounded and earthy. He's not as much of a perfect killer. He gets his ass handed to him some, and he's funnier. He's funnier than John Wick. There's times when you're watching John Wick where you laugh, but it's more a cathartic kind of laugh. You're laughing because of the I don't know, I guess the way the guy was killed or something. But he actually has funny lines in this. Man, I couldn't believe, like, beat for beat, like it was John Wick. The CG was better in this, though. The CG blood was better in this movie.
Yeah, I would hope. It's been since.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been 8 years.
That's not
7 years.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that long. But I mean, it's, if you go in and you're fine with that, and you're just looking for a reason to get back into the theater, which was pretty much me. It was all right, but just being so, and it made me more annoyed because it wasn't some other writer like plagiarizing another work. This is a writer plagiarizing his own work, pretty much. Yeah, it was all right.
I mean, the text you sent me was just like, oh man, and I'm like, yeah, he must have really fucking liked this movie. So hearing your reaction here, I'm like, was that a ploy?
I was trying to Blair Witch you.
See, I have learned not to trust your ass. Because I would have been burned like $13.
I spin it. I did it. But you know what's funny? I will say, though, is even me, somebody who loves the theater so much, I have forgot just how much going in there, sitting down, and when the movie starts, that bass just jarring the seats, and really, even as big as my screen is here, being immersed with no peripheral, just in the movie, it felt so good. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So good. Oh my god.
This is like saying, this is like a teen describing sex. It felt so good. Dude.
Oh god.
You can't believe until I got in there, it felt so good.
But okay, so the difference is
because it is like sex to us.
I'm telling you, I don't smoke, but like if I came out of that theater, I kind of want the cigarette after.
We're very mature on this podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, they do have plexiglass up. You can get all the concessions though. Nothing's limited. You can get everything.
How many people do you have in your theater?
There were maybe 20 people, 25 people, something like that.
Big number, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what I was telling Hector afterwards. Is I've been to the theater pre-COVID on a Sunday afternoon at 1:30, and it only had 25 people in it. It felt like normal in a weird way, like completely. So if you buy your tickets and you want to go as a group and you want to sit together, someone needs to buy your tickets, because if you buy your tickets individually, you're automatically socially distanced. Because they put a couple of seats between each, which for me in the short term is kind of great, because I used to go and would just randomly go to the theater by myself. and it would be really annoying when someone would choose to sit close to me. Well, you don't get that choice now.
Yeah, but that's gonna be kind of tricky with MoviePass because you have to each individually buy your own tickets.
Well, that was what I was going to say. That said, once we got in there, everybody that I went with had bought their tickets separate, and they were like, "Did you buy within the same rows or whatever?" And we're like, "Yeah, we were all in the same 2 rows." And they said, as long as you are moving into a seat that was marked out for social distancing and you're all from the same group, you can scoot in together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was my experience at AMC. I don't know how it's going to be at Regal, but I would wager.
I mean, it's like, hey, Regal, can I sit next to my husband?
Yeah, right.
No.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry. Well, worst case scenario, you could just put the popcorn bucket in the seat between you.
Nope.
That's yours.
I claim custody.
Okay, fair enough. Because I do too. If I ordered it, I want to eat it. So they have plexiglass up. I would wager that that's probably going to stay. I feel like even after pandemic stuff, I bet they leave it up.
I feel like that's an easy thing to leave up, and I think it's a way to do that.
Other than that, it was about it. They had some hand sanitizer little machines around, so you could do that if you wanted. But and there were like video things that played in front of the movie, reminding you to keep your mask on unless you're eating or drinking or whatever. Not a big deal. Since we were socially distanced and literally there was no one around us anyway, we would take them off once in a while to get a break. But it was a fun experience overall. It felt really good to be back in the theater. I highly recommend doing that.
I can't wait.
So we're going to do it for Mortal Kombat? Is that what's going to happen?
I think so. That's the general plan, right?
Yeah, that's a week
assuming
after
it doesn't get pushed again.
Assuming. I actually kind of like Zach's theory on the reasoning for pushing it because it got pushed at such a last minute. I feel maybe...
I have 2 theories, and it could be a combination of both.
Yeah.
Which is theory A, if you timed it right, you could technically get Mortal Kombat, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Godzilla and Kong all within 1 month subscription of HBO Max. So it's kind of like, let's spread it out 1 more week so they have to get 2 months. Alternatively, they released Kong and Godzilla in theaters yesterday, and you have 2 Warner Brothers properties that are releasing within about 2.5 weeks of each other.
Which normally, if it was just box office, wouldn't be that big a deal.
So, but there's nothing else really coming out.
Yeah.
So by pushing it a week, it gives a little bit more buffer room between it and Kong.
Yeah.
So it can make potentially more money so that little Timmy can go see Kong and then not go see Mortal Kombat because it's a hard R-rated film versus a PG-13 destruction film.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's the same demographic.
Which we should probably, I guess now is as good a time as any because it wasn't in the box office. The Godzilla. It would be in this coming weekends, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because
they had it daily for it.
Because it just opened. It would be in this weekend.
The daily would be a Wednesday.
Yeah,
the daily it made 9.6 million.
I mean, that's pretty good COVID-wise.
Considering this past weekend.
Yeah, that's actually surprising for a Wednesday.
That's
pretty good. It's gonna be interesting to see how well it does. We're gonna have to make a decision on Film Ball pretty soon.
Not to mention, this weekend's a holiday weekend, so you probably got a lot of families
people
who
might be
just
off
got
tomorrow.
vaccines.
Do you know? I keep forgetting that it's a holiday weekend. It's like Good Friday.
Easter weekend always sucks for box office.
Does it?
Well, probably now during pandemic.
Well, yeah. I mean, people are going to be desperate to get together and have Easter dinner, probably.
That and like more and more people are getting vaccinated, so they're a bit more lax on going out.
Yep.
But I mean, Easter weekend typically you get more of a family affair films that do well because the family.
Yeah, that's when we usually get.
This isn't, let's not release Grindhouse.
That's usually when we get like Paddington or Peter Rabbit. Or...
Yeah, Peter Rabbit.
I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised we don't have a limited Ten Commandments release because at 4K.
TCM is actually doing a thing where it's like a single or 2 screening.
Okay, yeah, because the 4K comes out this week.
You would think they would just straight up just re-release it.
That's what I mean. Even if it was a Fathom Events thing.
It is a Fathom Events, but it's only like 2 screenings.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying is it's like just 1 week only. It doesn't cost you anything but the hard drives and shipping.
Exactly. and screen those 4Ks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some movie trailers because we've got some stuff.
Yay.
So this first one is really funny because Zach and I had been discussing it. He sent it to me because we look at anything that has
A24 logo.
Yeah, we're gonna look at it, and then the next day, Tina pops it up in our Facebook group
with all caps, exclamation point, oh my God, they made a movie of my favorite Twitter thread.
So when I looked at the trailer, Zach sent it to me and I looked at it and I was like,
this is not my jam.
I hate these bitches. I hate this whole thing. I hate him. And then Zach reminded me that it was based on that Twitter feed. And I remember when they were making that movie, and now there's a certain their characters make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I read half the Twitter thread.
Yeah,
words are hard tonight.
Yeah,
I read half the Twitter thread and then went, "Oh my God, Stephen, you have to read this."
I'm not reading it. Tina, you read the whole thing,
God.
Right? I read the whole thing. I reread it last night because then after I saw this trailer, I was like, "Oh, I need to reread it." All true, apparently. And one of the things that I found out is the original woman who, went on this experience, she helped make the movie. She had valuable input in the movie.
Oh, wow.
So I am so stoked. It is a roller coaster of a ride. Me and my brother are like, there's no doubt about it. We're probably going to go see this multiple times. Nico, hate to break it to you, but you're going to be our DD for at least one of those tries, those visits.
Oh, I want to go on that one. We'll drink the
boozy slushies.
The boozy slushies, yeah.
But yeah, no, this is straight up me and my brother's alley, and it's we are ecstatic for this film. This is the highlight of our movie experience this year.
So, based off, not knowing anything about the Twitter feed, other than that it exists, I haven't read it or anything. Like I said, these are people that if I had to know them in real life, I would fucking hate them. But that
absolutely.
said, the movie looks like it's going to be pretty well made. It looks like I want to see it. But I know it's completely different, subject matter, but I keep having flashbacks, something in the way it's made or something to Spring Breakers.
Well, it's A24 as well.
Yeah, and Spring Breakers is a movie that's good, but I don't like it.
I'm the only person that likes Spring Breakers.
Yeah, I don't like it. But
yeah,
if this, what would be awesome is, I think this will get a wide release, but it would be awesome if they could get this in the Belcourt.
Yeah, this feels
to see this in an art house theater.
Yeah,
that would be spectacular. Plus, the Belcourt makes better cocktails. Just saying, if you want to go and have
for cheaper.
For cheaper, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good though. I mean, what?
Yeah,
Tina, why don't you tell us a little bit of what it's about? You're the most familiar.
So wild Twitter thread about how.
Oh, by the way, it's called Zola. We didn't say.
I think it's called @Zola because there's a little @ symbol. That's what.
So I was really confused. By the way, I was really confused because the Zola is that's the wedding online service stuff that we used. So when Tina I think shared it, is what does this have to do? We're done with that, Tina. We're past the wedding.
So this follows the story of a waitress who does some stripping on the side. She's double duty. She meets this girl at her restaurant who's also a stripper. They make a conversation just that one night, and she gets a text the next day or the next week or something saying, "Hey girl, let's go to this place down in Florida." And she's like, I was there a couple of weekends ago. I made 15 grand. So let's go on a hoe trip with this person I just met yesterday, right? So it's all about how when they make this trip, the waitress realizes it's the girl, her boyfriend, who's bipolar, her pimp, and when they get down there, the pimp wants her to start trapping. However, the girl, the main character, was like, "Wait, you sold your pussy for how much? 100? Girl." So she starts taking over her profile and be like, "Look, I got an offer for 500. Boom, off the bat. Come on, I can make you some moolah." And it's like they get involved in like the
Don't spoil.
sex-
Don't spoil too
yeah.
much.
but yeah.
Let's just say that is the top of the roller coaster.
Oh yeah, that's that's one.
That's not
little
even the rest of it. We just went up the lift hill.
Okay, so this is tentatively what I think the plan should be. You should bring your brother. We'll do it on a weekend when Nathan's in town, so he can go, and we'll all go. We'll all go and see it. It'll be great.
Yes.
It'll be great.
It's gonna be the best weekend ever.
It looks it looks real interesting. I can't lie. So go ahead.
I will say, after reading the thread and then rewatching the trailer, it's like, oh, that's from that. That's from that. That's from that.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. This reminds me, there was this is back in the days of like WordPress blogs, but there was a blog, a woman used to write that she was a cashier at a porn store, adult bookstore. And she would keep a blog of her interactions with customers. And it was one of the janky ones that has like peep show booths and stuff. Yeah, so she would tell all the stories. And I always thought someone should make that into a movie. So at least this one happened.
This one got made into a movie because reading the thread, you're like, I can make a movie out of this.
Yeah.
You have no idea where this is going.
Did we get a release date? I don't think I saw a date.
I don't think I
with
saw
everything up in the air, it'd be kind of foolish for them to put a release date considering The Green Knight still hasn't come out.
Yeah, true. All right, so did everybody look at the new Suicide Squad trailer? There's technically 2 trailers out now.
Yeah, I watched the one that was released today, and then the one that was released before that. So I've watched both.
I mean, they're real.
I was literally watching the one that was released today while you guys were talking about Zola.
Thanks, Nico.
All right, so what does everybody think?
I mean, I'll still see it, but
it looks like it might win an Academy Award.
It might
be award-winning Suicide
Squad 2.
This time for costuming.
Yeah. Perfect.
I hate you.
Perfect.
So this seems to continue the trend of what I hate about the most recent DC EU films. They're going for an R rating, and it's going to be violent, and it's going to have.
Since when do other DC EU movies?
Joker.
Well, that
Harley Quinn.
So Joker doesn't really, to me, fall in its own thing.
Yeah, but this is DC.
Well, I kind of want to finish.
At least 2 years.
I want Zach to finish his point because I want to see the justification for not doing that kind of movie.
So we get James Gunn.
Yeah.
And he's going to make an R-rated Suicide Squad, or excuse me, the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be violent, and it's going to have dick jokes and language, and yet it feels like it's targeted, like with Harley Quinn, for 13-year-olds. Harley Quinn was a film that, like, it was clearly the target demographic was 13-year-olds, but it had an R rating.
Okay, so maybe in the 80s, but not nowadays. It's been that way in a long time. But the one thing I will say about James Gunn is James Gunn spent a lot of years making trauma movies.
Yes.
So what you're doing is saying, here's an R-rated movie, cut loose. Well, yeah, the trauma's coming out in him. Dick jokes and all that stuff.
What I'm still saying is, tonally, it feels like this is for 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like Harley Quinn, I looked at him like, why the fuck is this rated R?
It's like, I mean, Marvel did this too. Deadpool. Well, okay, Fox did this too. Deadpool is that.
But Deadpool felt like an R-rated film for adults. It didn't feel like this is for kids.
So there is, I guess what you're going for is there is something in the production of these DC movies that feels cartoony.
This feels like for the Hot Topic crowd. The 13, 14-year-old girl that loves Harley Quinn and goes and shops at Hot Topic.
Do 13 and 14-year-olds still go to Hot Topic?
Well, that's what my point is. It's for that crowd.
I mean, I
don't
guess
know that crowd operates the way you think it operates, Zach, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, I think it's for that crowd when you were that age. The 13 and 14-year-olds now. The weird thing is things made for 13 and 14-year-olds on a general basis now are a lot safer and more conservative than when I was 13 and 14. I mean, I can get your argument thinking about the 80s because horror movies, there were as many 13 and 14-year-olds in the audience as there were adults, and you'd be having, boobs and cursing and blood and everything. But I don't feel it's quite that way now.
Like, when you look at this film, do you look at the tone and characters and think 18 up only, please? Or do you think, oh man,
no,
this is 13-year-old?
No, I don't. And I think it literally is a cartoony vibe.
Like Godzilla, you would look at it and go, if this was R-rated, this would be tonally inappropriate.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I guess so. I'm trying to figure out what the objection is. They have a target demographic that's outside of
wise, it feels like it's for teens, but we're having this gratuitous level of violence, so teens can't see it.
So.
I don't feel that it's too outside the Deadpool target zone yet. And I could be wrong, but I don't see really a problem with it. I think it'll be fine. In terms of what I think the movie will be versus, say, article less Suicide Squad. So I think it looks better. It looks better than the original.
It does look better. It does look better. Now, here's one thing Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I also think we have a different way about it. So DC sniped a Marvel director the second time when they sniped a Marvel director to wrap up Justice League. But that one was. They got a director. It's like, okay, look, the first guy we had to do it had to step away. Can you take all of this shot footage and make Avengers? And that's what we got out of Justice League 1, the first Justice League movie. Whereas this one is straight up, it's like start to finish, it's James Gunn getting to make the superhero movie he wants to, even in a way that he couldn't do at Marvel, because Marvel wouldn't probably give him the amount of freedom. Like, the only directive he probably has in this is don't kill Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Or if you kill her,
kill
make it
Harley
a way.
Quinn.
If you kill Harley Quinn, make it in a way that we can justifiably bring her back in a movie. That's probably it. Like, everybody else is free game. I don't know. I'll watch it. It looks fine. I'm looking forward to a good version of this story as opposed to the Academy Award winning version.
So what I would say about this, though, is when you compare the humor to Deadpool, in the end, I would wager Deadpool is still going to be a raunchier movie.
Yes, I agree.
But I think the difference is Ryan Reynolds is so good, especially in his ad-libbing, at going for the raunchy when you're not necessarily expecting it, or doing it in a way that you're like, wow, this is so clever. Whereas what we see in Suicide Squad, it feels more immature because it's so on the nose. And maybe that's part of it, because it does feel like, what was that kid movie, Good Boys, where it was an R-rated movie with kids, like little boys. And it feels like the jokes that were made in the Suicide Squad trailer feel like what 14, 13-year-old boys would do, jokes they would make amongst themselves. So maybe that's part of it, is it's just not as clever. It feels childish. Yeah. It's like, oh, dicks are funny.
Did it excite you to dick? Yeah. It's like, this is a joke for a 13-year-old.
Now, that said,
it's one of the reasons I hate Seth Rogen's humor.
Okay. Well, and that's very reasonable. Now, the only thing about this Suicide Squad trailer is the 13-year-old in me is like hoping this is good, hoping this is better than the first movie.
I mean, it's a high bar. The first one's got an Academy Award.
It's true. It does. Now, visually, this one, Zach said it, and you just said it too. You're like, oh, it looks better. To me, this movie kind of looked like shit. I didn't like the way it looked. It looked all blown out.
Very digital.
And it's so blown out.
The cat thing freaks me the fuck out.
There's that scene where it's like, look, angels are coming on us. Like they're on some beach or something. And it's like Harley Quinn is like completely blown.
Yeah.
Everything around her is completely blown out.
Yeah, it looks like a Rob Zombie movie from 20 years ago when he first started. Like the Crow era. So I don't really like the way it looks.
I guess my point is I was hoping for something not Birds of Prey, and I got more Birds of Prey.
Well, I think if James Gunn was given anything, it was probably, this is the world you got to play in. This is the toy box that we're in. It does need to feel of that universe, I think. for better or for worse.
Visually, it's like, God, it's a mess.
I agree with you. I
mean, at least Amanda
Were you
Waller
just
is correct now.
were you wanting it to not be as much of a cartoon in terms of comedy, just
I
like
just
more
didn't want
of
it to be 3 edgy 5 me like Hot Topic crowd, and I feel like you're gonna have Harley Quinn. It's like it's fucked.
I don't know what else they could do though.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the way that this kind of thing has to go now. And I'm actually opposite you. Harley Quinn was the only good thing about the first Suicide Squad movie. She was the only good thing. I mean, people will argue Will Smith, but it's only because he's a good actor. But he wasn't particularly memorable in that movie.
He was not fucking Deadshot.
Well, I don't have the relationship with Deadshot that you do, but
they're really
but
close.
You could say that Margot Robbie was Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I'm saying Will Smith is not Deadshot.
Okay, I mean, and that's fine. But I'm just saying she was the only entertaining part of that movie. And sadly, her own in Birds of Prey, I mean, she was still like great as the character. The movie just blew.
So I just realized Zack Snyder's Justice League cut ruins Harley Quinn movies for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she'll forever be safe until we see Batfleck holding her in his arms. Because she dies in Batman's arms.
So
well, that's also a fake future that doesn't really happen because the whole
True.
point of what would have happened is to stop that, and thankfully it was stopped by the Snyderverse not existing anymore. We saved the
Justice
future.
League ruins more than Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it ruins
Aquaman.
It does.
It ruins like Wonder Woman 84.
It does.
No,
like
Wonder Woman 84 did that on its own.
No.
Okay, reasonable argument. Reasonable.
I mean, you're not wrong. However, the dialogue that Wonder Woman has contradicts Wonder Woman 84. It contradicts Aquaman.
It does.
I haven't even seen Aquaman, and I know it's wrong.
Yep. But that's why he says it's not canon. Even Snyder says that it's not canon. So.
You know it might not be canon?
What?
The massive gaping plot holes in that movie that are being pointed out now.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Darkseid just forgot what planet it was.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Oh God, yeah.
Nobody wrote it down.
We did that. We did that last week. That was last week. We're done.
Speaking of plot holes, Nico and I watched a movie that had a shit ton of plot holes.
So tell us about King Kong. And feel free to be spoilery as you would like.
Spoiler
zone for Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? I haven't seen the film. I just want to ask if I'm right. Okay.
I don't. Okay. What?
Okay. Fight 1, Godzilla wins. Fight 2, it's like a draw. And then fight 3, Mechagodzilla shows up, and they have to team up to beat Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, that's.
Oh shit! Yeah. What now?
I would say. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the only thing with that. It's fight 1 goes to Godzilla. Fight 2 goes to Kong. Then there's a fight 2.5 that goes to Godzilla.
Yeah, there's a point in the middle of the second.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, there's a point in the middle of the second fight where somebody goes, "Got to give that one to Kong," and then it cuts, and the fight's still happening, and then Kong gets his ass whooped. It has to be defibrillated to be brought back to life.
Yeah, because
to
Kong's
save
a
Godzilla
bitch.
in the fight against Mecha. But all the way, by the way, there's a lot of stuff I don't like about this movie. Spoilers: I don't like this movie. I will give a preface. I generally actually enjoyed 2014 Godzilla. I thought it was okay.
I still
liked it. That's good stuff. I like Kong Skull Island. Kong Skull Island is really good.
Yeah.
That one's entertaining. Yeah.
Godzilla King of the Monsters is garbage.
Terrible.
I don't know if this is worse or on par, but it's in that level.
I will say it did give Nico and me a really good idea because, again, spoilers. The thing that powers Mechagodzilla is Ghidorah's head.
Kind of. It's Ghidorah's head and glow lights in the center of the earth.
Yeah, it's RGB Ghidorah console. Okay. But there's like a human.
See this movie in a theater.
Yeah.
There's a human pilot.
Fuck you.
And there's one point where the human pilot's eyes kind of roll back into his head, and it's like, system going all wonky. And Nico turns to me, he goes, I swear, if we get a Ghidorah in a human body, I'm like, oh, I need that.
Yeah, so
I need
spoilers,
that just to see how trash it would be.
The Ghidorah head from the end of King of Monsters that was saved by the actor's name,
Charles Dance.
Charles Dance. Thank you, Zach.
Because they wasted him. That's how I remember it.
Yeah,
they wasted him so much he's not in this one, despite he had Ghidorah's head.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And they use the skull of it as basically creating a remote cockpit because the brain is the supercomputer, and that's how they control Mechagodzilla.
And that's how Mechagodzilla gains sentience and kicks out the pilot, like fries the pilot.
Mechagodzilla. You wanted me to pay fucking $15 to see this.
Mechagodzilla looks
like garbage.
Big.
Oh, Mechagodzilla is
garbage.
Trash.
looks
bad.
No.
Also, Millie Bobby Brown, like Nico and I were discussing it. Millie Bobby Brown phones in her fucking performance. There's Team A who's Kong. They're the actual like plot driving force.
Godzilla's also technically a Team A. He's only ever there.
Yeah. Then there's Team B who's only there to help discover the Ghidorah plot.
And the whole Mechagodzilla Ghidorah plot. And that's Millie Bobby Brown.
And that's Millie Bobby Brown and her team.
The kid from Hunt for the Wilderpeople, some other guy.
Their acting's like phoned in. Hardcore.
I didn't think she was good in the previous movie.
It is very much. It is a very tropey like giant monster movie where you do have to have a B plot that has really nothing to do with the monster fights until it circles back at the end and they found out who the real bad guy is.
Yeah.
They're
like conspiracy theorists at the wazoo. Like one of the first things that is asked is tap or no tap, and she goes, oh, no tap, and they have to explain that whole thing where it's like, oh, if you drink tap water you're more susceptible to being controlled because of the fluoride.
Oh my god!
Like,
is this the film trying to justify human genocide again?
This is my god!
And get this, the science in this movie, there is no science. There is no science.
They got Kyle Chandler back, who is also in the last movie as well, and he was only ever on 3 sets in this movie. He worked a day.
That was it.
He worked a day. No, it's just so bad.
Now, one of the things,
honestly, the fights aren't that good either.
No, the fights are just weird.
I felt they had the CGI for the fight scenes ramped up too quickly. One of the things I liked about the 2014 Godzilla movie is that the fights are a little slow, because it underlies the weight. These are massive creatures. They're going to move slowly. Buildings fall and they take time. You feel the weight of everything, and that doesn't happen in this one. Godzilla
you know what
and
doesn't
Kong,
feel the weight? That airship carrier.
Oh god, Godzilla and Kong wreck Hong Kong in like minutes. They fight on top of an aircraft carrier in the ocean. Godzilla and Kong are jumping on ships and fighting.
And the air carrier's just floating along. And I'm like, no, that shit would have been sunk. That is hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of tons of weight on that thing. Those carriers are not meant to take that much weight. That thing would be down in the ocean.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't. I understand some people are liking this movie.
Why the fuck does this have an 80% Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm seeing people on my friends list.
Are people just
Twitter
that desperate?
like this movie.
I'm like, did we watch the same movie other people are watching?
This is shockingly bad.
It's nonsensical in the beginning. There's no good understanding of how much time is passing in this movie. The first 30 minutes, I think, a few weeks pass, but there's no real sense. Maybe
it could have been the next day.
It could have been. It probably was the next day.
79%.
Yeah, it's
79.
The science doesn't.
Kong's part on this, like the whole reason they're bringing Kong away from the island is apparently there's this huge storm on his island that was hiding him from Godzilla, which is why Godzilla never sensed him or whatever, because they were holding him in a containment field. But like the main bad guy is like, oh, we need this energy source that only the big monster titans know where it is, and it's in Hollow Earth, which is like this weird space in between the crust and like the mantle of Earth.
Fuck off.
And it's like inverted. Like the team that they sent in there went through the tunnels, but when you come out the tunnels, you could either go up or down, and it inverts gravity, and they were crushed instantly. Right. Well, now we have technology to fix that shit. Turns out Kong is like a homing beacon for this shit. Right. So they're like, Kong, if you go into this hole that we somehow got you here, we airlifted you to Antarctica, by the way. Go into this hole. And Kong's like, fuck no, I ain't going to that hole. And then they're like, oh, but it could be your family.
Oh my God.
Because Kong knows sign language at this point.
Yeah, Kong knows sign language.
So Kong goes in there and he finds a throne.
Of course he does.
Like a fucking throne. Yeah. Like he sits on the throne. He's like, I'm a badass bitch.
He is King Kong.
Oh my
and
God.
He picks up an axe. Okay, so the throne is in a literal throne room with like stairs and columns meant for titans to sit on and hold court or whatever, right? And he picks up this axe, this giant axe, the spear of which, like the blade of which, is very obviously a Godzilla fin. So, like one of his spikes, right? And then it starts glowing because that's where the energy is coming from. But then it also glows in conjunction with Godzilla, who's pissed off that there's a Mecha Godzilla, so he's using atomic breath or whatever. And Godzilla then atomic breaths through the entire crust of the Earth.
Godzilla!
Like literally,
what the
he just opens his mouth and
the
he just
center
goes,
of the Earth.
And he knows exactly where Kong's at because that's where it comes in.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
And then they're just like, we'll just climb up this hole to where Kong is, to where like Godzilla is. Oh look, now they're fighting. Oh look, here's Mecha Godzilla. Oh, now they're going to fight Mecha Godzilla together. And Nico and I are just sitting here like,
you know what would have fixed this?
Fuck all of y'all.
A lot of alcohol.
Seen it in Screen X. That would have fixed it.
No. If anything, it would have been distracting as shit.
Thankfully, it is under 2 hours.
It is under 2 hours.
Well, that's something. I mean, do you at least get a good view of the monsters? Or are they shrouded in smoke and stuff like the last movie?
No, you see them clearly.
The three main monsters, you see them relatively clearly. The other monsters that are in Hollow Earth, you hardly ever get to see them. They bring back Skull Crushers for, like, the Skull Crushers, we have no idea. Like, they're used as practice for Mecha Godzilla. They are literally used as target practice for Mecha Godzilla.
God,
I gotta admit one thing about
what happens when you get Adam Wingard.
So it was not good. I feel like the movie is trying to show humans shouldn't play God, in that we try to make Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, the whole reason for Mecha Godzilla
the apex
is to be the apex predator again. I
gotta get this. So the company that builds Mecha Godzilla is called Apex Industries or something. It's Apex.
No.
And the guy goes like, so that humanity could be the apex predator.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The movie starts off with like Godzilla, like they're trying to paint Godzilla as this villain because he's attacking this random innocent robotics facility named Apex. And like the conspiracy theory dude is like, no, I'm going to tear Apex down from the inside because they're fishy. And he's like, I was there. I saw it all.
I feel like the movie justifies having a Mechagodzilla, though. Like, not for the bad guys to do it, but it makes sense because, like, yeah, maybe there should be some defense system because they did trash Tokyo. I mean, not Tokyo, Hong Kong.
I like to think the only reason that they decided to do it in Hong Kong is because all the neon, like, Tokyo has a lot of neon, but not near as much as Hong Kong, and they utilized the lighting for that for shit.
But ultimately,
like, it was like half of Kong was purple, the other half was blue, and then Godzilla was like half yellow and half pink. I'm like, fucking hey, we get it.
All right, we should probably get going. We got a bunch of stuff.
God, this sounds.
I added a story, so we got a lot of stuff. Let me. I want to stop thinking about Godzilla. Let's keep going.
All right. So,
Zach, you got a story?
Yeah, you do.
Apparently, it's a story now.
You got a blurb. Read it, bitch.
Yeah, it's just a blurb.
So, we actually got a comment on last week's show.
Well, it was a request for discussion, so that's
request for discussion. All right.
Yeah.
So, at the Park Channel. If you're listening, I love you too. Quote,
How did Zach make that awkward?
it's okay, baby, I love you. Anyway,
God,
I don't know if
Don't
you
give
guys
him a
have discussed it
microphone.
before, but I'd love to hear your opinions on all the movies Netflix have been dropping, and if you see it as a legitimate push for prestige movies. I Care a Lot seemed to cause some waves, with Rosamund Pike winning a Globe for it, and I just saw that Netflix purchased the rights to Knives Out sequels for over 400. Well, they didn't purchase; they're in talks.
Yeah, they're still working
closing
on it.
the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
But it's over $400 million. With COVID making Warner move a lot of movies to same-day streaming to HBO Max, do you guys see this as a way of competing, or do you think Netflix has different goals? Anyways, love the show, and looking forward to the next one. Thank you for the question. If you have a question,
Post
be
it in
sure
the
to
comments.
post it in the comments.
And we'll
And
get
also,
to you.
you can request for Zach never to speak about you.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually,
But I love you guys.
I honestly,
we just lost our audience. Thank
There
Yeah.
they went.
I honestly think Netflix has been trying to compete in the movie theater game and the movie business for years. I mean, look at like what is it, Roma and
I feel like Roma was the first one.
Irishman, and
Yeah,
Well, Roma, Irishman, Battle to Buster Scruggs, those are all films
they bought.
that they felt like, one, they bought.
The Irishman they actually made.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
But they,
Okay.
they felt like they're like, we want an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel like we want to compete in theaters. They merely want to,
They want the awards.
yes,
they
they
want
want
the
to say
laurels.
we're a legitimate studio now because we've won Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Now, look at this year. They haven't released anything that's getting talk.
Nothing.
Well, no, I
Mank.
say, yeah.
Which one?
Charlie
Mank.
Chicago,
Yeah,
7, Mank.
and the
Well, Chicago
Okay,
7
well-
was last year.
Yeah. It
Yeah, but it's up for awards
Yeah.
this year.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about this season.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
the Oscar season. Okay.
I'm full of shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think the films are really good, though.
Well, that's the thing. What they are is better than the average Netflix film, and that's why they stand out. Is to me, The Irishman is not that good a movie. It's not good. And I like Scorsese as a director. I just don't think it's good. And Roma is not a movie they made. They bought, like Nico said. But also that movie, I've only watched a few minutes of because it was boring and
watched it.
slow.
I watched it.
And it looked beautiful.
It has a couple really good scenes in there, but would I sit down and go, oh man, I want to watch Roma again?
Yeah.
No.
But I agree with what he's saying. I do believe they are trying to push their way into the awards because they have not been able to push their way into the festival circuit, which is another direction they want to go.
Well, yeah, but the okay. So the Knives Out example given on here, that's not going to be an awards
No,
thing.
that's just
that's
money.
that would that's just trying to get an audience. I still am quite unsure about some
don't
of
get why they
Netflix's
did
direction.
that though.
Yeah, because like one is Knives Out on Netflix. Like I didn't think the first one was on there. I
don't
knew
know.
it was on Amazon. I could see Amazon poaching it. I'm surprised Netflix is going for it unless they're trying to just beat Amazon to the punch. But yeah, Netflix doesn't play with theaters, and that's kind of their problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get Irishman gets a small run in art theaters. Yeah, sure, because it's a Scorsese film.
Well, and that only happened because it was part of his agreement.
Yeah.
Is to get a theater run. Yeah.
But you don't really get that with other Netflix movies because Netflix just doesn't play around with movie theaters. And I think until they do that, there's a stigma on Netflix movies that they're going to be subpar.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is also because a lot of them are subpar. But
Most of them really are
also
subpar.
But theater going experience is a prestige mark at the very least. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage in theaters, but the garbage in theaters is a lot of times better than the garbage at home because at least you're seeing it in a theater with a community. So yeah, I think Netflix needs to get in on that market. Amazon does it.
Yeah, I was going to say the comparison is I feel that Amazon looks at the theater market as a different experience to the streaming that they offer, but different in parallel. I don't feel that they look at it as
Complementary.
Yeah, they don't. It's not competition for them. It is complementary. Whereas Netflix looks at theaters as competition. And if they were completely open and honest about it, they probably would love to just push them out of business and get people straight up streaming. And that's why they're not pushing into the awards like as much as they want, I guess. But they've had stuff that was nominated. Marriage Story was nominated, right? And Roma was nominated. Roma won, right?
No.
It was nominated to win. Yeah.
It won. I thought it won foreign.
It won something.
It won Best Director.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
it did. It did win Best Director.
Green
yeah,
Book won Best Picture.
I mean, this time it does have a lot. Mank and Trial of Chicago 7 are up for a bunch
And
of
Hillbilly Elegy.
And none of those
Oh,
are very good, apparently. I mean, the Trial of Chicago 7 was good. It's really good. It's funny. It's like, it's like having a burger and you could say, this is a really good burger for a McDonald's.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
It's like a really good burger randomly.
Yeah. So
you also have the handicap of it being the 2020 year.
yeah. So I was going to say that. I was literally just about to say, well, Trial of Chicago 7 is a good movie for Netflix. It would compared to other things. Other years it probably wouldn't have been on my top of the year list, but because of 2020 it was. But yeah, to just flat out answer this question, yes, they want the laurels. They want to find a way to get the laurels. And I think what they have discovered to this point is they can't seem to make a movie that is award caliber. So they try to buy stuff that is.
See, my biggest problem with a lot of Netflix movies is, they don't look like cinema.
They don't. They look like TV.
I mean, that's going to sound super pretentious, but you're right. It looks like TV. It looks like digital.
Remember, I told you
like anything film.
When I watched the Denzel Washington movie on HBO, it wasn't a good movie, but boy, it sure felt good to see something that looked like a piece of cinema, like a filmed movie. And their stuff doesn't most of the time. You can actually see where they cut corners, and that's not going to get you awards. That's not going to get you the attention that you want. I feel like you're looking for something lavish when it comes to award season. And you could kind of say The Irishman has that, but it looks video-y to me in a lot of places.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like traditional Scorsese. There's some scenes that tried to be that, but still weren't. Was like that long take at the beginning. CG? I don't know. I think it was a combination of things. If I guess with CG, they probably spent less on gaffing on the lights, on the lighting for things, because you got to light the shit out of a lot of digital cameras, including the reds that everybody swears about. You got to light those things to make them look like cinema, and a lot of times it just got flat to me. Like the sequences, the long tracking shot that's inside the nursing home, which feels like a Scorsese shot, but it feels like a Scorsese shot on a video camera, on a handy cam. It doesn't feel like a film camera move with a steady cam to do that shot. So there's just a lot of ways that they cut corners. So even if their storytelling is up to par, which that's the other thing it usually isn't, things don't look enough like a movie. But yeah, they want that. They want that. And I think they'll continue to try and buy movies for the next handful of years to try and get those laurels. And the thing is it's, I think to Nico's point, it's confusing because Netflix is always basically under their breath said, we want to be HBO. We want to take over HBO. HBO doesn't get movies that win Oscars. HBO crushes it on the ACE Awards and the Emmys because they do TV. Even though
Game of Thrones,
Netflix movies and their shows look more like film than most of what you're going to see on Netflix.
Game of Thrones looked more cinematic to me than like The Irishman.
100% agree with you.
Don't get me wrong. There are some scenes that look like a TV show, but the majority of it,
especially in season 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From what you could see, sorry, I don't have. Well, my TV is calibrated, and I was still having minor issues.
Yeah.
Some people didn't have it calibrated, and God help them.
All right. Anybody else have a thought on his question?
Nope.
All right.
I think it's fucking stupid to put Knives Out straight to streaming.
Unless Chris Evans is not going to be part of it anymore.
The movie made like $300,
No,
$400
I
million
think it's
in
mostly
theater.
going to be focusing on Daniel Craig's character.
Yeah, Chris Evans was the bad guy of that movie.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a new bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
But Daniel Craig, I mean, he's a draw.
I mean, I don't get why they're going straight to streaming with it though.
Well, because it's Netflix.
I know.
You don't get
And
why
then-
like
and then
Ryan
Jack
Made in
Johnson.
a theater?
Well, what?
Is there more money to be made in a theater?
There would be, but in the era of COVID, someone offers you $400 million, you're going to take it.
This is 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, but no, I agree with you.
That's why it's like, why the fuck are we going straight to streaming with this?
I don't know, unless maybe it's that Daniel Craig is a draw, but he's not like
I mean, if
Chris Evans.
it makes me happy that my ex-boy, who ain't my boy no more,
He's still your boy.
he ain't going to be doing anything Star Wars
Right.
with them doing this. Remember, he's going to get his own trilogy. Ryan Johnson's going to get his own trilogy.
Oh no,
Nope.
but now the director of Wonder Woman 1984 is getting her own movie.
Oh, great.
So,
Lucasfilm doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
all right, that's a whole other story. Speaking of whole other story.
All right, I got to. So yeah, I got
that's right. That's you. That's right. Yeah.
Yep, I got a new one that we just put in, released earlier today per Hollywood Reporter, going back to Warner Brothers and DC movies we were talking about earlier. Ava DuVernay's New Gods and James Wan's Aquaman spinoff The Trench DC movies are not moving forward. Warner Brothers and DC Films' upcoming slate is moving forward without those films. Quote, as part of our DC slate, some legacy development titles, including New Gods and The Trench, will not be moving forward. We thank our partners, Ava DuVernay, Tom King, James Wan, and Peter Safran, for their time and collaboration during this process, and look forward to our continued partnership with them on other DC stories. The projects will remain in their skillful hands if they were to move forward in the future, said Warner Brothers and DC. DuVernay is currently working with DC on a Naomi TV series on the CW. That's a recently created character by Brian Michael Bendis. And James Wan is, of course, still working on Aquaman. Aquaman 2 is supposed to be filming later this year. But shuffling around some movies from DC.
I think as messy as they've handled this DCEU, I think they made a good decision. I don't think either of those sounded particularly good.
I was excited for New Gods. I didn't care about The Trench. I did not see much reason for there to be that Aquaman horror spinoff. If anyone was curious, The Trench was, if you saw Aquaman and remember the trench creatures and how it was kind of supposed to be spooky, that was what that movie would have been. So yeah, I didn't think there was enough bones there. But the New Gods, I was super excited for. And especially since it was kind of being co-developed by writer Tom King, who did a phenomenal Mr. Miracle book a couple of years back, which is essentially the New Gods. I'm sad to see that go, but yeah, DC kind of needs to figure out what the hell it's doing. So I kind of understand that.
I feel like
we
go ahead.
I was gonna say we even supposedly have like the Superman movie that's supposed to be from Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates, and we still don't know if that's even going to be a Henry Cavill in DCEU canon film or what. So yeah, DC needs to understand what it's doing.
I feel like the New Gods was kind of a more niche story, though. I just didn't feel like blockbuster material to me. I would watch it for sure. I would be in.
Now, granted, you said the exact same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy.
I own that. You are 100% correct. And
I was going to bring that point up too.
I was proven wrong. You are 100% correct. Just my initial feeling is that, So you're right. I own it. So
it is New Gods is a very space operatic story. Which maybe they're seeing the hole that Star Wars is leaving, and it's like, oh, okay, we could fill that, but we won't know.
No, but we can all agree that The Trench was the dumbest idea. I don't understand where that.
I love horror, and even I said this looks
Me too.
Stupid.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense at all. They should just. They've really got to get together on their DCEU. I hate to say that any one studio should kind of mimic another one, but when you're talking about comic book movies and the comic book universes work, you kind of got to work all your movies together to some degree. They don't have to be as intertwined as Marvel's is, but at least there needs to be a cohesive voice.
That is a very difficult point that you make, trying to say don't just copy Marvel, but what really else is there to do if you're wanting to make a swath of superhero movies? Because the expectation is now that they connect, that they do in the comics. It's basically, this is what happens in the comic books. You're making the movie versions of them. They're going to connect. Marvel has shown that it can happen. So DC, why aren't you doing it well? So it's hard to say don't copy Marvel, but when that seems to be the formula, I would love to know what else it is, what else they can do, but I don't know what that is yet.
It really, like, superhero movies have become a subgenre of action and sci-fi, and part of that subgenre is to connect those movies together now, for better or for worse. And I think the issue with DC is they don't have that cohesive voice. They don't have that drive. They don't have Kevin Feige, who says, okay, you're going to do these movies, but we're not just going to, like, randomly connect them together later. We're gonna plan it from the ground up. I don't believe all of phase one of the Marvel movies were planned that way, but everything moving forward was.
It's fascinating to watch those movies because you could tell the missteps. You could tell where they were learning and where the formula came into place.
100%. All right, who's got the next one?
I do. So San Diego Comic-Con is coming back. After canceling the massive July convention in both 2020 and 2021, the organizers at Comic-Con International opted to have a shorter event later this year, announcing last week that Comic-Con would take place on Thanksgiving weekend. As it turns out, those in Hollywood are reportedly growing wary of the timing of the convention, with some insiders suggesting some studios are refusing to participate. According to a new report from The Hollywood Reporter, one publicist says their clients are refusing to attend the event unless they're ordered by a studio to attend as part of the press tour for an upcoming movie. The report goes on to say the Thanksgiving date was, quote, hotly contested by the various members of the Comic-Con International Board. That said, the group ultimately decided to go with the date and shorten it to a 3-day show from Friday to Sunday. After comic creators and fans started to speak out against the convention dates on social media over the weekend, Comic-Con released this statement defending the decision. Our decision to hold an in-person event in 2021 was driven by a number of factors. Our primary hope was to be able to gather in person as a community, something we have not been able to do since early last year. Another was to try to determine how best to effectively and safely produce events in light of current health concerns with the least negative impact on attendees. Currently, we do not know whether having this event in November is even feasible, as we are still in the midst of the pandemic. And while we are optimistic about Q4, we have not been privy to any specific information on large gatherings. However, it was our desire to have something in place for our fans who have longed for an in-person event, end quote. Now, the Hollywood Reporter report says even studios aren't even warming up to the idea just yet. So we'll see.
So before
Enjoy yourself.
Before we get into this discussion, talking about 13-year-old boys, Zach will have to, before the end of the show, spin the camera around on his device so you can see our control center we've got set up here. But I have a 42-inch monitor in front of us. And of course, well, you've got to go into a different view. You have to go into a gallery view or something.
I'm showing them.
Oh, okay. The Mac has a quick zoom where you can zoom in on stuff. And for some reason, I zoomed in on Zach's nostrils and it looked like a giant pig nose is 42 inches on the screen. And I couldn't control myself. We started laughing. So Okay, back to the show. Um, so I'm interested in you guys' opinion on this because you guys run a convention. What do you think of the decision that they made?
I don't like it because it's one thing for like you're right. We do run a convention for anyone who's unfamiliar, but ours is a local fan event.
Not near as the scale as a
we get 6,000 people, not the 100,000 people that the Comic-Con gets.
With studios and actors and producers and writers and
the massive density is totally different, and we're postponed until 2022. We're not happening again.
Not even doing it.
Yeah. So that's just what it is. I've seen the conventions just go back and forth because I know shows that are happening. I know shows that are happening this weekend when we would have been. I know shows that are against postponing for until next year. I personally would not go to this event unless we get to like October and it's like, COVID, that was a terrible time. Thank God that's over. But that's not what I'm going to plan for.
Yeah, there's multiple variables going into, especially in these times, postponing or just canceling for a year. I mean, there's no telling that like if they postponed, maybe this was the only weekend available. And if that was the case, I would not have chosen Thanksgiving weekend, period. I would have just canceled until next year.
I think that's a terrible weekend to do anything.
Dude, not only is it terrible just because, but like this is the first Thanksgiving that we'll probably have where it's semi-post-COVID. People can actually go to their families. And you're going to try and hold an event?
A lot of the setup for that event is going to be on Thanksgiving Day. So the staff are going to be on site. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, and the staff's going to be there Thursday. Some of the staff's
going to be there Wednesday or Tuesday.
Yeah. But they're going to be there on Thursday on Thanksgiving Day, setting up the event. So I would not have done it. I would have just waited. There was no real impetus to externally. There could have been factors inside.
We don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
We don't know what they're contractually obligated to do. Maybe they worked with the city to have an event so that things will be better for them when they come back next year. There are a multitude of different contract negotiation tactics that they may have found that this is a solution to a problem they had that we just won't be privy to. But externally, I don't think it's great.
No.
So I did read a couple of other articles about this because I was just really curious why that decision was made. And some of the things that I've seen are that that time of year is packed in the convention center area there with events because everybody's pushed to that same time. And this was kind of what was available. And it sounds like they haven't come out and just talked about what their finances are like, but it does sound like they aren't very liquid right now.
That's also
that's a key point. Yeah,
that is a very key point because I think a
lot of conventions have gone under because of this.
Well, and they said they wanted to be able to pay their employees because they have a huge staff, and if they don't do something, it doesn't sound like they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, so I don't recall what Comic-Con International's like business structure is, if it's like a nonprofit or a for-profit or what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, they have year-round employees. They do have to pay those. They have to pay for health insurance. They have to especially pay for a lot of stuff during COVID. They probably qualify for the PPP loans and stuff like that. But still, it's a effort, and they have to generate money some way. I know other events that have done online events and generated money online. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and then the other thing that I did read is they felt that if they did do it over this weekend, because just saying the words Comic-Con sells, 100,000 tickets. But over this weekend, they have control because there will be fewer people. It's meant to be a very small event. They're not trying to do a regular July event. I don't know. I did see people complaining about the cost of plane tickets at that time of year, but I mean, Dragon Con.
Yeah, people would go
it's on a holiday
Thanksgiving
weekend too. Yeah. But Dragon Con's on a holiday weekend too. It's also very
but Labor Day is not near as
Dragon Con-
travel heavy as Thanksgiving.
No,
or
I know,
Christmas.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But you just, I don't know that, you have to be that you plan your event on people what it's going to cost people to fly. Especially now because it's going to be cheap because the Delta needs people to buy tickets. Believe me. My only issue is that we have a small convention here that I like to try to go to, but I haven't gone in years because it's always on Father's Day weekend. That's a small holiday compared to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it would be hard to plan to even attend it outside of what you said, Nico, which is a really great point, is your employees are all going to be missing their Thanksgiving to help set that thing up. It's fascinating. They really must be hurting for money. I really feel like that's what it is.
I mean, heck, my mom just got used to me not being around on Easter weekend. Like,
well, I was
Set up a
just going to say
button on their website.
What did you say?
Just set up a donation button on their website, guys. We're hurting for cash.
Well, you know what maybe they could do something and maybe they did a virtual thing last year, right? Didn't they do a virtual thing? So maybe they're
from
not.
my understanding, it did not really go over that well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say maybe they could just do another virtual thing, but I guess if it doesn't generate any funds.
Here's the crux, though. When I go to a convention, most of the time, if I'm going to a convention, it's because they have a guest or somebody there that I really want to see. Even just say I've been in the same building. So if the studios aren't happy about it, if the actors and actresses and cast members and writers and all of them aren't happy about it and are, from what it sounds like, refusing to go unless forced, how are you going to sell tickets if, Joe Schmo's not going to be there?
I have a suspicion because of that they'll blink. I just feel like they were trying to force something through this year to bring some revenue in, but I agree with you. I wouldn't go. No. I think I would wager we'll see in the next handful of weeks or whatever. I bet they blink.
We'll see.
It's interesting.
Plus,
we'll see.
they depend a lot on like movies as well as like TV and stuff, and some of that's been put on hold or pushed to 2022. So it might be better to push the event itself to 2022. Again, we'll see who blinks first.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the TV.
All right. So this one's brought to us by comicbook.com and Entertainment Tonight. The first episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which we talked about last week, has Sam Wilson, the Falcon, applying for a bank loan with his sister to save his family's fishing boat. But even saving the world doesn't help save small businesses in America from banks. The show creator, Malcolm Spellman, regaled Entertainment Tonight about how the studio heads, such as Kevin Feige and Lou D'Esposito and more, kept checking in on that specific scene, just to making sure it's going over well. Now that there's no Tony Stark bankrolling the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, no one knows what a superhero has to do to make a living, especially true for those that were blinked out of existence for 5 years, thanks to Thanos, or were on the run for 2 years post-Civil War. So it's a scene that apparently resonated both internally and externally with audiences.
So I saw this story. I put it in here because it started kind of popping up in different places. And it made me sort of go back and rethink that sequence a little bit. Because for the most part, the family story was kind of boring to me, honestly, in that episode. But in a weird way, it kind of is neat thinking back to one of my favorite parts about Spider-Man is in his origin story when he can't cash a check because it was written out to Spider-Man. It does ground the characters a little bit. It makes them more relatable.
I like to think, little do you know, the real reason Tony was pushing for the Sokovia Accords was because with them being under even just UN control, it verified as employment and they'd be getting paid.
I thought it was just so he can get him off his paycheck.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I that Spider-Man anecdote is a pretty good one. I would love for Spider-Man 3, the in the new home trilogy
Yeah.
will be that, because that was one of the issues we had with the MCU Spider-Man, is that Peter wasn't this everyman kind of just average kid. No, he's decked out with Stark tech and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. So yeah, I do like that aspect, and it's some interesting questions. I think our dog's bark in the background, so after this, I'll go take care of that. Yeah, I think it's neat. I did like this episode better. I don't think we put it in here, but we'll talk about it now.
I was gonna say, I wanted to segue into this episode from this story. So go ahead.
Okay, this episode fixed the immediate problem in episode 1, in that it wasn't the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was the Falcon cutscene, the Winter Soldier cutscene.
Baby. I have thoughts.
And this one got them together almost immediately at the beginning of the episode. So that was nice.
So if we're going to segue into the current episode, can I just give a TLDR and just say that I fucking hated this episode? It pissed me off every turn. It made me mad. This episode.
See, now I don't feel bad on not seeing it, because I just did not give a shit enough to hit play.
So initially, I have issues with how. So the Falcon character, apparently, he's still working for the military. Right,
he's a contractor essentially.
Yeah, but when the Winter Soldier decides he wants to be involved, there's one little throwaway line: "Oh no, you can't." But then he immediately is, and they immediately buddy up, even to the point where the Falcon is telling him, head north, meet me here, blah blah blah. Like within seconds, it feels like, oh, we're teamed up, we're good to go. And when they get back, before they get back from their epic battle, immediately Sam Wilson's character becomes a one-liner machine. It's like bam, bam, one-liner, funny, bam, 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 bam. Let's try to be funny. It's like every fucking line he says to the Winter Soldier has to be a quip. It's so aggressive.
Welcome to Marvel. We specialize in quips.
No, bitch. You haven't seen anything except like this. Literally.
I have. It's called Batman and Robin.
Well, that's DC. That's
You're
DC.
Talking about quips and puns.
That's
right.
DC. That doesn't count. But it's so bad. There's one time where he even makes a joke and he looks at the camera and laughs, like with a little smirky smirk on his face. And it's like, oh, it just infuriated me. So they get back from their epic battle with the villains that are becoming even more and more bland to me. And some stuff happens. They want to make they randomly it comes out that Winter Soldier knows another Captain America guy who's known him all this time, and he's a black dude, and he's like, you knew Black Captain America and you didn't tell me. So they go talk to this guy, learn nothing, never really say why they went to talk to him to begin with. I rewatched that segment today just to see if I missed something and fell asleep, because I did fall asleep again. I fall asleep in this show every time I watch it. And literally, there's nothing that happens in that sequence except it sets up an opportunity for the police to pull up and try to accuse Sam Wilson of being a criminal and maybe attacking the Winter Soldier, I guess because he's black. So it sets up this social commentary scene, which I have no issue with if it wasn't so wedged in and improperly done. It felt like, hey, look what we're doing. Look what we're doing here. Look at this. Look at me. I hated this episode. I am just ready to drop the show. It was terrible. Somebody disagree with me, please, because I just was mad.
Okay, I didn't hate it. I thought it was a step up from the first episode. I didn't have the problem with Sam Wilson's quippiness, I guess, that you did. I honestly don't recall the wink at the camera bit that you mentioned.
Yeah, there's a scene where he makes a joke and then he says, we're not assassins here, and the Winter Soldier storms off to go fight, and he's like, come on, man, it's a joke or whatever, and he just has a little quirky, cute little smile into the camera, and I'm like, ooh.
Okay, I would need to relook at that one. I didn't take it that way, but yeah, I thought their dynamic Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Sands together is fun. It's definitely feels like a buddy cop movie kind of.
I mean, they
vibe.
definitely have chemistry, the two of
And
them.
I think that is kind of the pull through of keeping me in, is them two being together. I agree that the plot of the bad guys that are very bland, and it seems like that's probably going to be kicked up in this next episode with the
At a few times, I didn't even really know what they were trying to do, what the bad guys even wanted to do, other than, oh, we don't like the people came back from the snap. Oh no,
I agree that one is pretty weak. It's not quite as strong as, say, the Russo brothers work with these characters.
Yeah.
But I think it is making improvements to be like I said. I thought episode 2 was better than episode 1.
Okay.
I'm hoping this is an upward trajectory.
You're gonna love this, Zach. You're gonna love this. So there's a scene that we keep seeing in the trailers that I was actually looking forward to, which was the two of them being interviewed together.
Oh, the therapy session?
Yeah, well, I didn't, I wasn't for sure it was a therapy session in the trailers. But so right after, when the police show up, it turns out they're there to pick up the Winter Soldier because he has a warrant for his arrest because he didn't show up for his last therapy session. It's a court-ordered therapy session. So fine, okay, whatever. This seems a little weird and weak, but they take him, and then his therapist comes out and goes to bring him back, and he said, yeah, you too. And he's like, no, Sam Wilson's like, no, I'm good. She's like, I didn't ask you. So who the fuck is she to be able to tell Sam Wilson to do anything? But she ordered him into the therapy session and then forcefully treated them like a couple, like they've been going through this thing forever. How does she even know what's going on in Sam Wilson's head at this point? Sure, I'm sure the Winter Soldier has told her plenty, but it felt really weird and forced. Like, I didn't understand how that happened at all. It bothered me. It bothered me. Like, narratively, it bothered me. But I guess I'm the only one. Oh, there's a pupper.
It's moments like this. I feel glad I kind of just didn't give a shit enough to watch it.
I think I didn't have a problem with that bit as well, just because I got the understanding that she could tell, based on treating Bucky for so long, or at least however long it's been, that his relationship with Sam Wilson is pretty much the only real relationship in his life right now, and that it is something that it's an anchor point and is a source of frustration, but also a source of kind of stability. And it's probably high time that she looped in Sam Wilson into some of this training, some of this therapy sessions. But the kind of,
think
it
that
seems
scene,
incredibly inorganic.
That scene was totally just to get that 1 or 2 line from Bucky, be like, if he was wrong about you, he was wrong about me.
That's what bothers me, is it felt like a tool just to get him to have an emotional, like a dramatic moment. And I agree with also what you're saying, Nico. For sure, through their therapy session, she must have learned how important he is in their relationship, how important the Falcon is. But there's no basis for her to be able to order Sam Wilson to do anything. And that's the part. It's like, and he's a super, like a macho superhero guy. You get ordered to do something by somebody who doesn't have the right to order you to do something. I mean, my automatic response is fuck you and do the opposite. I mean, it just didn't feel like organic. Yeah, it didn't feel like it was. It felt like a tool, like a plot device to get to that line, like Tina said. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I go into it more, but we got more to go over. But we still got 4 more episodes to go, so hopefully we'll turn you around.
I hope so. I mean, I'm gonna stay with it. I'm gonna finish it. But I was like, I hated it. Like, I just hated it. It's so bad. Moving on.
Yeah. So
Tina?
Moving on, it's me. Evan Peters has reportedly been cast as notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer in Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's upcoming project for Netflix, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Now, this is according to multiple reports. E.T. has reached out to Murphy's rep for comment. Nothing yet. Netflix is not commenting or confirming at this time. Peters is best known for his work on Murphy's other series called American Horror Story. Additionally, Variety reports that Niecy Nash will portray Glenda Cleveland, Dahmer's neighbor who alerted police and the FBI of his suspicious behavior, but nothing was done. Penelope Ann Miller will take on the role of Dahmer's mother, Joyce, while Richard Jenkins will play Dahmer's father, Lionel. Sean Brown and Colin Ford are also attached to the project, and the upcoming 10-episode limited series will tell the story of Dahmer through the eyes of his victims and examines Dahmer's white privilege and the law enforcement involved with a critical lens, depicting at least 10 times that Dahmer was apprehended by police but not prosecuted. Carl Franklin will direct the pilot, with Janet Mock set to write and direct several episodes.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Netflix just a few years ago come out with a Zac Efron-led Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, that was Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Or Ted Bundy.
Different serial killer.
Different killer.
I was just like, didn't they just do this?
But Dahmer is, I have mixed feelings because Dahmer is a killer that's been covered a lot. There have been a number of other projects. There was most recently that one that was based on a graphic novel. Mm-hmm. What was it called? My Friend Dahmer or something like that? Yeah, My Friend Dahmer. Yeah. And then before that, there was just one called Dahmer that was a pretty good movie. But I
feel like every decade we focus on a serial killer, and we just keep circling through like the main three. It's John Wayne Gacy, it's Ted Bundy, and it's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll get some Richard Ramirez or Ed Gein or something like that, but mostly it's Dahmer, Bundy, and Gacy.
Yeah, the Three Stooges.
Now, what I will say, and what struck me in this article is, I was like, oh, another Dahmer movie. Even though I watch a lot, I don't watch as much as you, but I do watch a lot of the true crime stuff. But it sounds like the approach on this one might be interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. Just because it that whole line of it's going through the eyes of the victim, it examines the white privilege and the law enforcement behind it, because there was like literally they went to his apartment. They went to Dahmer's apartment because a naked, bloody Asian underage male was saying, this guy's trying to fucking kill me. They brought that Asian boy back to the apartment. They said, oh, it seems all good here. He killed him later that night and ate him. I mean, hello, police officers.
Yeah. And that's one of those opportunities when they're talking about the white privilege and that kind of thing, to really do something important, because we see that happening so much in news and in the world lately. That to come at it from that approach is an interesting way.
If they do it right, it would be really good to see.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, if you're going to do these, you got to show the violence. You got to show.
I agree. It should be pretty.
I mean, and not shy away from it and be like, these people were horrible fucking scumbags. Stop.
Yeah. Stop fucking romanticizing them and saying how pretty his eyes are. Or
oh god,
yeah. I mean, if it was me,
he was such a stud. I'm like, no, he was fucking crazy and he ate people.
I mean, you ever read the book American Psycho?
No. Parts of it.
Okay. Do you read any of the murder scenes?
Yeah, that's the parts that I looked.
Oh, okay. Fucking shoot it like that.
Yeah.
Like, that horrific.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's done well, you have to do it in a way that it has the intended emotional impact. If you do it too gratuitously, it becomes about that and not about the real story.
Yeah.
That's shock and disgust.
Yeah. I'll probably look at it though. I mean, I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be watching it.
Think, fuck this guy. Why am I watching anything about him?
Yep.
It's like, okay, let's not do murder porn, but like do something similar, just not with actual cats, but do something similar to Don't Fuck with Cats, because at the end of the first episode or whatever of that series, everybody was like, this guy's a monster. There's nobody, like, do it like that.
Oh my
just
god!
not with animals.
I forgot about Don't Fuck with Cats. That messed with me.
Yeah, that show really messed with me too because I had seen those videos before that doc.
I hadn't because I choose not to look at
Yeah,
horrible.
like upon seeing them, I was like, "Oh God, this!"
So-
I
so
repressed that. in my
Am I
mind.
the only one that's watching the QAnon documentary on
I watched episode 1.
that
Yeah,
thing?
no,
That thing.
I haven't watched it yet.
Holy shit! It's 4 episodes now. It's riveting. It like the joke you made to me was the same joke I made on Facebook.
Because
That we
had the
mistreated
same thought.
Scientology. Scientology feels normal compared to what this is.
Yeah, because it's like people are mentally ill and like convincing themselves of just stupid shit.
Crazy. And what's so great about
I
this?
have a feeling I need a cocktail to watch it because I will
You don't
get
need a cocktail,
angered.
but you're just kind of like,
Well,
what the fuck?
but what's fascinating is this filmmaker. I'm so jealous of him. He started this documentary before QAnon was mainstream, before all of us knew what it even meant, and it just kind of grew as it grew. He continued to film.
Boy, it feels really nice to see a documentary that like we're gonna throw out the jargon and just keep going and not have to completely stop and explain it. It's just there's the definition. So
Yeah.
like they were talking about red pilling and base,
Mhm.
and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what that is.
Well,
They're
but not everybody does,
I know, but I'm so glad they just put up a quick definition
and keep moving.
and keep moving
Mhm.
instead of having like the whole thing screeches to a grinding halt and goes. So to be red pilled is from the Matrix, and this happens. It's
Mhm.
like not doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Tina.
It's-
You got to look at it. It's really
legitimate
good.
internet terminology, and I was like,
I'll take a
yes.
look.
That shit is riveting. It's crazy.
Episode 1 was long for me,
Ugh, I don't
but
know.
that doesn't mean it's bad. It was just like, how long is this? It feels like we've been here for an hour and a half, but it's only an hour.
I don't know. I blew through the first 2 and then I just watched the second 2. It's so good. So if you want to get yourself some physical media this week, you could certainly do that. Wonder Woman is out on every fucking format on the planet. Wonder Woman 1984. You can get the Blu-ray, the 4K, the 3D, the Steelbook, and the Digipack from Target. The Ten Commandments out reissued in 4K. The Bad News Bears is out. I think that's a Shout Factory. Then Defending Your Life is out from Criterion. I'll be getting that for sure. The Greatest Show on Earth is out from Paramount Presents, and I don't know if you saw this one. It is a 6K master.
Man, I wish the film was better.
I do too.
I mean, they shot in VistaVision, right?
Well, this is not the Greatest Showman. This is not the.
Yeah, I know. It's the greatest show on earth. They
Yeah.
shot it in VistaVision, right?
I don't know. Did they?
I mean, they shot Ten Commandments. It's Cecil B. DeMille.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, he shot Ten Commandments in 4K, which, so spoilers for the Ten Commandments 4K,
Yeah.
that is based on a scan from 2010
Okay.
when they remastered it previously.
Well, Paramount does good stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, considering a lot of other places like Blue Underground or even Warner Brothers, they went back and they rescanned like Wizard of Oz. They did like 8K, 16-bit color.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they just learn to do better scans as the longer we do this. They just get better.
Yeah, but this is a scan from 12 years ago almost.
So you can also get something called A Perfect Planet. That's actually a 4K. Secrets and Lies has been reissued. An American Werewolf in London Steelbook. My advice is don't buy that because
There's a 4K
there's a
in
4K.
the UK.
Well, the 4K is coming here too.
Finally.
And then there's the Day of the Beast 4K. I don't know.
Speaking of Blue Underground, is that Blue Underground?
I don't think so.
Thought it
I
was.
think the next thing they've got coming is Dead and Buried. Well, while you look, I'll just tell you a piece of news. Did you hear this thing about Arrow Video, sir?
I have heard this thing about Arrow Video.
Okay, so Zavi is a company that does premium international reissues of films. They'll do like an exclusive steelbook, or they get they get licenses from the studios to do really premium custom packaging. More than I usually am willing to buy. Honestly, their prices are usually really high. Well, they, as of this week, bought a 75% interest in Arrow Video. So technically now own that company.
You know, I have not heard about that.
That's the story. So the story that you have heard about is happening right now. That Arrow Video is having a killer Easter sale. 50% off on a shit ton of titles. You can get those over at Grindhouse Releasing.
I like how
Yeah,
it's
dude.
called Easter Carnage.
Right? So I tell you what, if you're into Hellraiser, they've got both of those. Lots of good stuff. Premium scans, good bonus features. It's good, and
So-
you're supporting an independent studio. What?
Day of the Beast is actually Severin films.
Okay, I didn't think it was Blue Underground. I think
Criterion. Where are you at?
Dead and Buried is the next thing coming. So the mistake I just told Zach that I made is I didn't go look at this sale till after I took my Ambien last night. I woke up this morning with $100 receipt in my email. At least I bought good stuff. So I'm happy.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go because they have a lot of Japanese horror on here.
They have a ton. They've got a bunch of Miike on there, and some of it's like $14. So it's good.
Yeah.
And bad news, at least to me, it's bad news. Warner Archive, which is a print-on-demand way to get classic Warner Brothers movies, like some of the older stuff, is officially gone. They're officially shut down. You can still order Warner Archive releases, but it's a Amazon store, which I think is basically one foot in the grave. But you can still get them. So if you want any old Warner Brothers titles, I bought a lot of stuff from them. You better go to Amazon and pick them up. What do we got in the funny books?
All right. This week's book of the week is Marvel's Beta Ray Bill. Anyone not familiar with the amazingly great cosmic mythological character? Beta Ray Bill was introduced in The Mighty Thor by Walter Simonson at the start of his run in the 80s. Walter Simonson did a prolific and epic run of the God of Thunder. And Beta Ray Bill's whole thing is he's genetically engineered by this alien race to essentially safeguard their slumbering personas after their planet was destroyed. He's essentially a Captain America and Thor rolled into one. He can fight Thor, and when he encountered Thor and had a misunderstanding fight, as is often the case when superheroes meet each other, he was able to pick up Mjolnir, thus proving to be worthy of being the God of Thunder.
He
So
also
since
looks like a horse.
He does look
Yeah.
like a horse. His face looks like a horse. That is also a thing as well.
That's the thing that bothers me. That turns me off to Beta Ray Bill. I'm like,
But yeah, since then, he and Thor have typically been companions, have been colleagues and brothers and whatnot. They recently had a bit of a showdown, though, in Donny Cates' current Thor run. And this mini series for Beta Ray Bill is spinning out of that. So Beta Ray Bill issue 1 of 5 came out this week, came out today.
awesome.
Or yesterday, technically.
Yesterday. But after an hour and a half to 2 hours from now, however long it takes me to get it propagated, you'll see Nico's write-up and cover art for that comic because I
4 days after I sent that in.
had a bad day yesterday. It was a bad day.
But yeah, check that out. And the new book, Beta Ray Bill, issue 1 of 5, it will be a self-contained miniseries. You can check out the current Thor run by Donny Cates, which is not too deep into it's maybe like early double digits or something. And go check out Walter Simonson's Thor run of the 80s. I will recommend that anytime I get a chance.
Awesome. All right, let's bring this guy to an end. I'm starving. I need to eat food. Nico, where do we find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream, NIKOSCREAM.
Tina?
You can find me on Instagram and all social media platforms under Cheddar Popper, CHEDRPOPPR. And don't forget to look up the adorable puppy on Instagram at the.shadow.pupper.
Zach?
You can find me. I'm on Discord as a Dangerous Meat Lunatic, as well as on Steam as a Dangerous Meat Lunatic. On Instagram as Master of the Matrix 91.
Yeah.
You can find me having a headache all day today.
So find me at All Things Culture Smash, also Off the Shelf Movie Night on YouTube. And after I eat something, find me sitting here posting Nico's comics and ripping video from YouTube because I forgot to hit record on Zoom. So that's my night. But anyway, yeah, hit me up over on. I'm also on the Discord, but you can find me on Dead by Daylight. Just look up Culture Smash. Got the new killer. The new killer.
How is he?
I haven't got to play against him yet. I keep trying. No one's playing him.
I mean, Warzone had a 50 gigabyte update yesterday.
Well, it was only 17 gigabytes to update for this.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, right. So come play with us. All right, I guess that'll bring us to an end.
Come play with us, Dan.